welcome to the Women in STEM podcast for physics. I'm Mairi. I'm a fourth year physics and astronomy student, and I'm from St Aidan's College. And I'm being joined by our course rep, Lucy.
Hi, I'm Lucy. I'm a third year at Collingwood, and I'm also studying physics and astronomy.
So the first question I had was, what do you think the main differences are between A-level and university physics?
Well, it's very different, obviously.
Yeah.
I'd say, to be honest, probably it's a lot more interesting because you get to learn like the hard, like you've learned kind of the basics at A-level and GCSE, and now you get to learn the stuff that's more interesting and it's harder, but it's more interesting. You can really
you
get
to
into
sort
it.
of specialise in what you want to a bit more as you go through your course.
Yeah, and you get to choose like which modules you want to do, like which areas that you're interested in, and you can pick like and kind of eliminate ones you don't want to do.
What would you say your favourite module has been so far?
Well, I'm probably most excited for a module this year, my lab module, which is in astronomy, where I'll be observing Cepheid variables, because that's
nice.
It's like my own project. It's like very more individualized, and I'm really looking forward to do that in the lab.
I kind of agree with that being like the best part. I'm currently doing my fourth year project. I've just started it, and I'm really enjoying being able to work independently and like kind of come to my own conclusions and sort of control my research a little bit more, and not feel so structured with like lectures and exams and things like that.
Yeah, because like you have the core modules which you have to do, but then when you really get to like experience yourself and make your own decisions, it's a lot more interesting.
Have you used much like Python so far? Have you enjoyed using it?
Well, like when we first started, I had no like computing experience at all, really.
Same.
So like I would say probably still nowadays still do struggle with learning computing and stuff like that. But obviously this year, I'll be using it a lot in my computing projects and in the lab. So I think, I used to get really stressed about it, just because like everyone else seemed to know what they were doing, and I was just like, what am I meant to be typing? Like I know what to do, but I don't know how to write it down.
I honestly think like the point at which you'll start to feel comfortable with it is in your third year computing project. Like that was where I sort of finally like felt like I was breaking through with Python, because like in first and second year you have such like structured exercises and it does all seem a bit confusing, but I think a lot more people struggle with it than they might show, if you know what I mean. I think that's generally the case with physics. People seem to sort of pretend that they know what they're doing all the time when they might not.
That's true as well. I think everybody does struggle. Some people might not show it as much as others. And I think if like I've done like beginners tutorials and courses online, like I've got books on Python I've read to like boost my knowledge when I'm like feeling like I'm not doing very well in it. So I think that's important if you do feel like you're struggling.
Also, a good way to get help is through the like workshop sessions that you have with
definitely
instructors, because like I asked so many questions every time I was in one of those sessions, and like a lot of the time, I don't know if they'll be virtual this year, but like when I was doing them, a lot of the time they'd be walking around and no one would really be asking anything, so I was constantly able to get the help I wanted. And
we have virtual
people are kind of too scared
tutorials. I think it's important just to ask all the time, even if it sounds stupid, and if you think everyone else knows the answer. Like the demonstrators and like the postgrad students helping you, they're not going to judge. They're just ready to help.
Like sometimes I've asked questions and the demonstrators don't even know how to answer it, so it made me feel a bit better about not asking stupid questions. What would you say is the best way that you found for like taking notes in lectures?
Well, there's always like, you always have to judge whether you pay more attention to like listening to the lecturer or you just constantly write down what they say without taking it in. I think you have to balance between that. So maybe just, what I tend to do is I write down the important stuff and then we'll go over it later.
I found it like kind of more difficult to do that when it's online lectures, because I feel like I keep pausing them and then writing like absolutely everything down, but that's not really the best way of doing it. And
I've caught myself doing that this year.
One of my lecturers advised us not to do that and to just watch the whole thing without pausing it, unless you have to pause it, and then just kind of treat it like as if it was a real lecture. I think that's quite important to do, because if you just spend too much time going over it again and again, like you'll have all that time to revise later on to get like the details of things.
Yeah, and you don't want to stress yourself out too early on as well.
On that kind of note, I guess, when did you say you kind of had started revising for exams in the past? Like how close before exams?
I'd say, well, I tend to start revision probably when the Easter holidays begin. Because I don't know if that's quite early for some people, because I know some people who start like at the beginning of Easter term, but I usually start like end of second term, start of the Easter holidays.
Yeah, I like to try and make like a plan of when I'm going to revise different things like through the Easter holidays, because there is so much time to revise.
Yeah,
and the exams do come really quickly once third term starts.
And it's also important to like not prioritize like one module over the other, like not put off one module because you think it's harder.
Yeah, I kind of, in my second year, I sort of did the opposite of that, where I found my theoretical module really hard. So I just did loads of work on it and then ended up sort of not doing so well in other areas because I thought it was easy and I shouldn't like revise it. So yeah, I guess it's really important to just keep it as like equal as you can with revising content.
Yeah, that was like me in first year, because I didn't do further maths at A level, so I felt like everyone was like very clued up in maths, whereas I felt a bit like behind, so I revised like so much for like SMA and SMB.
Yeah, so I did AS further maths but not A2, so I had like some of the knowledge but not all of it, so I was still a little bit behind with it. But I guess if there are first years listening, it doesn't mean that you're at a disadvantage. Like you might have to revise a bit more, but like you'll be fine.
I think after first year everyone's pretty much on the same level. Like the start of second year I didn't feel disadvantaged at all. I felt on the same level and a lot more confident.
What do you think has been the most like difficult part of the degree so far?
I would say computing is difficult for me. To be honest, because I still struggle with that, but I think it's important to like, if you are finding it really difficult, don't let it like really stress you out, and just because like everyone will find one thing more harder than the other. It's just keep at it and ask for help and do extra reading if you need to. Yeah,
and like if one module doesn't go too well, the other ones will like balance it out hopefully. So don't get too like hung up on one thing. I think the hardest thing for me was like the jump of difficulty at the start of each year. Like I found that a lot from first to second year. There was like a big sort of, they started going through content so much more quickly, especially in the foundations modules, but like you do get used to it, and I felt like that was the same with third year as well. To an extent, they started going even faster.
But
you do get used to it. You just kind of get adjusted to it, and you know that you can't physically keep up with everything, but you will be able to get there and get everything learned eventually. I think that was kind of the biggest learning curve. I'd say there wasn't so much of a jump from A level to first year. I don't know if you thought that.
Yeah, I think it's just because a lot of the maths seemed like kind of new to me, not having done further maths, but I think the physics was not a huge jump.
I guess it's just a different way of learning. I think the last question that I had was about like writing reports for labs and things. What would you say is the best way to go about doing that? Like what kind of advice would you give about that?
First years, you don't have a report until, is it the end of second term?
I think you have a formative one at one point, and then a summative one.
Yeah. There's like loads of good resources online on the physics department website, which I would very much recommend using.
It's quite hard to find them. I still can't really remember where they are, and I have to kind of search them out on the website.
Yeah, I just Google to find
confusing.
It.
Yeah.
But if you do find it, it is very useful.
Yeah, and I would recommend trying to start using LaTeX as like early on as possible. I didn't start using it until my second year, I think. And
I still haven't started actually.
Because if you're doing a 4-year course, you have to use it in your 4th year for your 4th year project.
Okay.
And it kind of, the longer you wait, the more work you'll have to do anyway. So if you start learning it in 1st year, you can just set a bit of time aside, learn it, and then just use it from there forward. But if you sort of wait later,
that sounds like good advice.
It's not very
I should probably
hard,
take it.
and it's a bit like weird to start with, but it didn't take very long for me to learn it, and it's so useful.
It's just like you just have to learn how to use it, and then once you've learned, it's meant to be easier, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, it's easier to do than trying to put equations into Microsoft Word.
Oh,
I found that really hard. Just took up so much time. And like they have on the department website like really good templates for the reports that you're going to write, and like they've got sort of everything in there already, so you don't have to do much yourself. You just sort of
especially
put
for
text
first.
in. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about?
I don't think so. I think we've covered quite a lot. Do you think?
Yeah, I agree. Cool. Okay, well, thanks for joining me. Really looking forward to the new Women in STEM course rep scheme.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I'm excited to be a part of it.
Yeah. Thank you for listening.